Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. And thank you for joining the July community call. We are getting ready to kick off shortly here. We're just going to give people another minute to get logged in, get comfortable, and we will begin our call in just another minute. All right. Hello and welcome. Thanks for everyone joining us. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We have folks joining from all over the world. Thank you for attending the Tech for Palestine July community call. If you're a returning participant, thank you and welcome back. And if you're new, welcome to our call. We do these every month to give our members all over the world an update on what's happening at Tech for Palestine and all the important work that our members, our project leaders, and all of our volunteers worldwide are driving. If you're new to Tech for Palestine, we are a nonprofit incubator focused on starting and scaling initiatives focused around Palestinian liberation, building community with volunteers and outreach initiatives worldwide. Our call is recorded and also streamed on all of the T4P social media outlets. And at any time, if you have questions or comments or you're running into any type of technical issues, please drop your questions or comments in the chat. We have moderators monitoring the chat, and so we will get to those just as soon as we can. We have a lot to cover today, so I'm just going to jump right in. Joining me today from the T4P team, we have Paul, our founder, who will talk about some updates, organizational updates at Tech for Palestine. Afzal, who leads up marketing for us, will give us some updates on marketing in the community. Zahid runs engineering, will be joining us. Tom Hall, who manages the incubator. We'll talk about some of the new projects in the incubator. And we have Pablo, who is our project spotlight today. So you'll get a deep dive into one of our projects. And I will talk a little bit about volunteering in ways that you can get involved. We also are looking for your feedback. So whether you are a returning participant or new, we'd love to hear from you on what you think about this call and what you'd like to see in future calls. And so we'll drop this here. We'll also remind you again at the end, but we'd really appreciate it if you take just a couple of minutes. It's a short and sweet survey to let us know what you think about the format of our calls. All right, with that, I am going to pass it to Paul Bigger, our founder, to talk about what we've been doing at T4P and some achievements that we'd like to highlight.
Thanks, Elza. Yeah, so we've been redoing our website recently, and as part of that, we're trying to put across some numbers for what Tech for Palestine's impact or sort of contribution has been. So a couple of numbers I wanted to share with you. Obviously, one that we share relatively regularly is that at this point we're supporting 90 plus projects. That's live projects. We don't count the ones that have shut down or moved away from T4P or various other reasons that they have closed. So that's 90 plus live projects that we're supporting across the standard kind of spaces that we support. Media bias, social media, scaling boycotts, Palestinian commerce, et cetera, et cetera. one of the numbers that was relatively new one to me recently that I saw is that we are now Tech for Palestine is reaching about 10 million users across its various platforms. So across the incubator project, so Upscrolled, you probably know has about 6 million users, but there's Boycat, Thara, News Cord, The Wall, Find a Protest. All of these have relatively large user bases. And overall, we're reaching about 10 million users through the platforms that we are building and supporting. On the volunteer side, we frequently share the number that there's a couple of thousand volunteers in our database, but we wanted to see how many of those volunteers are actually live across the T4P projects and Tech for Palestine itself. And that is about 400. So we have about 400 live volunteers that are supporting Tech for Palestine teams, Tech for Palestine projects. And that's software development, marketing, legal, finance, all the other ways that people can be helpful. And then the final number is that our Entrepreneurs for Palestine subgroup, that is around 350 founders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, people who are part of that network to collaborate, build partnerships, get opportunities, fundraising, all that sort of thing that we support in the Entrepreneurs for Palestine program. So that's kind of T4P in numbers recently. Want to share what is happening in coming up. We have a lot of public online events in particular that are continuations of series that we've been doing in particular, and one new one, and these are pretty exciting. So the first one that I want to talk about, I highlighted this last month as well, is the Tech for Palestine book club series. So this is with our own Tom Hall, avid reader of books about Palestine, and what we're doing there is we're doing a month-long community reading that focuses on one book each month, and then at the end of the month we have a conversation, or Tom has a conversation with the author of that book. So there's also a Discord channel where people can share reflections and questions and that sort of thing as they go through the month. In July, at the start of July, we spoke with Dr. Salman Abu Sita on who wrote Mapping My Return. So that recording is available now on our YouTube. At the end of the month, in about 2 weeks, we're going to have Miko Peled to talk about his book, The General's Son. And you can register live, and there's a link there to register to see that event live. And of course, we will post that in a recording. I don't see it on my list, but I know that we have one very exciting one that I'm excited to see in September. I'm not going to say who that is. Maybe it's not going to happen, or maybe it's not confirmed yet. But a lot more of these to come, and I think this is a super exciting series, especially for someone who struggles to read these things. One of the other events that we have coming up are the Tech for Palestine roundtables. So these are discussions that have founders, investors, technologists, etc., that are talking about specifically how technology can support Palestine. This is in the area of digital rights, justice, ethics, etc. And so these are conversations where we have experts, but the audience is also participating. So the audience can come in, ask questions, share their own perspectives, and they're intentionally very interactive. The host of it is Paul Mathis, who created Palestine List, and he's a tech professional with 20 years experience. We recently had one of the roundtables on ethical alternatives to big tech, digital sovereignty, open source technologies. That came out a couple of weeks ago. And we have one coming up, which is focused on, or titled Fighting the War Machine. So it's talking about tech across the military supply chain, and that's coming up on July 23rd, which is, I think, Thursday next week. So that one's going to be super interesting as well. The The next of the events that we have coming up is the Occupied Tech podcast. So this is a podcast that I host in collaboration with Palestine Deep Dive. What we're referring to as season one was three podcast episodes. One with um, Adil, the founder of Boycat. One with Hassan from No Azure for Apartheid, talking about Microsoft and Microsoft's complicity. And the other one was with Eric Seip from Hamle, talking about the work they do and talking about how Hamle puts out a lot of reports about social media complicity, Meta in particular. And so we had a deep conversation about that. The next one that we have coming up, and the first one for season two, is with Issam Hijazi, the founder of Upscrolled. We actually recorded this this morning. So it was really interesting about sort of Upscrolled, their product direction, how the Zionist ecosystem has attacked them, how tech has been complicit in attempting to shut them down, and strategies for building an ethical platform. So that will probably be released probably in 2 to 3 weeks, I would say, depending on how quickly we can get that out. And the last one, this is a new season or a new series that we're doing. It's designed for folks in the movement who are looking into fundraising. So it's not your typical tech fundraising, how to get money from VCs. It's a lot more how do people in the movement, how do nonprofits, how do organizations that are doing impact, how do they fundraise? And this is led by Soha Elapi, who's the Chief Development Officer at PCRF. Um, and she has raised staggering amounts of money, 150 million. And that first webinar is going to take place on the 15th. My understanding is that we're not recording this, so you do have to attend this to see. And the registrations are open now, so you should be whatever platform you're on, you should have the link being shared. And this is part of a new team that we have within Tech for Palestine that is called Helping the Movement Fundraise. And we're going to be putting on a series of webinars about fundraising and other. It's not just putting on webinars. It's doing this team is doing lots of stuff to enable the Palestine movement to fundraise and to scale up the impact that they're doing. All right, so that's it for our upcoming events. If you want to see our existing events, you can go to techforpalestine/events. I know I checked this recently and we're not completely up to date, but we are trying to get these fully up to date with all the events that we've put on, including stuff like our Barcelona event. So hopefully this will, I actually haven't checked it today, so maybe it is up to date and that's why we're sharing it. But if it is not, we will be fully up to date very soon. There's a team working on that. Okay, so I wanted to talk as well about the membership program. So this is something we've been highlighting on the last few community calls. Membership is how we are bringing people into the movement to do work that Tech for Palestine is running itself. So historically, we have had the incubator, but part of the purpose of the incubator is to build up these skills in marketing and mentorship and in strategy, in really understanding how the movement is supposed to work. And what we're doing now with our membership program is that we are scaling up teams within Tech for Palestine, and we're staffing them with members. So if you join Tech for Palestine as a member, you can join one of these teams that is building tech to address tech complicity, building campaigns, movements to be able to address tech complicity. Right now, we're supporting about 90 external projects. I think the latest number I saw internally is that we have about 70 teams, and that's split 60-70% in terms of supporting our incubator projects, and about 30% in terms of new initiatives that we're putting on. So these are, whether you're interested in leading an initiative, you're interested in something, participating in something that's early and exciting, or you're interested in helping something that is established. We can put you to work on all of these, and that's primarily what our membership team is about. Um, our membership team also, though, or sorry, our membership, we also are doing a lot of getting to know other people in the movement, getting to know other people in tech. So we are doing, coming up, we have our, I'm not sure whether it's weekly or bi-weekly, but member meetups where there's opportunities to connect with other people from the community, talk about ideas, and then discuss, sort of the tech industry and its relationship to Palestine. We have also been doing other ways of connecting members with each other. One that I'll call out is the brokered introductions, where we identify members who are sort of working on the same thing or have the same interests, and then connect them to each other. So a lot of what we're doing with memberships is trying to bring a tech community together around Palestine and advocacy for social justice. So if you're interested in joining T4P as a member, techforpalestine.org/membership, and there's a form to fill in. There's some dues to pay. Those dues help fund our external projects. They help fund the work that we're doing. They help fund team members who are supporting both our external and internal um, projects. And then after dues, there's an onboarding call where you have a call with someone from my membership team, and they figure out how you can get involved. So that is one of the major ways. I think we're up to about a little under 200 members was the last number that I saw. And so this is something that we only really started growing at the start of the year, and we have not actually really announced publicly outside of this call, and outside some of the in-person events. So do check that out, and would encourage you to become a member to support our work both indirectly and financially. All right. The other thing that I have been tasked with this month is our current affairs section. So what is happening in tech news that is relevant to Palestine? So the first thing that I want to talk about is there was this report from Tech for Bad, um, and this report focused on how the UN is partnering with Palantir. So Palantir, as if you're on this call, you probably know Palantir is someone who does contracts with the U.S. military, with intelligence agencies. They do mass surveillance. They partner with ICE. They partner with the Israeli government. The CEO, Alex Karp, has been very vocal in his support of the genocide in Palestine. He has called all Palestinians terrorists. It is just really one of the worst companies out there. And what Tech for Bad is outlining in this report is that the World Food Programme, which is part of the UN, has a partnership with Palestine, in which they are presumably sharing data with Palantir on how to on the global supply chain and logistics of the World Food Programme. So if you don't know how Palantir works, Palantir is someone who puts forward deployed engineers. That is, Palantir employees get placed into your company, your organization, in order to connect your systems into their, panopticon. And this a lot of people have been extremely concerned about this. Recently, there was some wins in the UK, where Palantir has been removed from certain contracts as a result of this growing realization of Palantir's involvement in mass surveillance. So, in particular, there was a report put out by Francesca Albanese about their relationship to Palestine. In Francesca Albanese's report, they identified Palantir. That was a major part of the private sector infrastructure that enabled Israel's military operations. So, really, really sort of evil fuckers, to be quite honest. And Tech for Bad is putting out these demands where they're asking the UN to end the World Food Programme with Palantir. and to commission this an independent investigation into what are the human rights impacts of that partnership. And ultimately, they want to replace Palantir with an organization that does that same sort of data integration work, but that does it from a an ethical and human rights respecting approach. Um, and then one of these this story that we saw was actually sent to us. We aren't related to these, but we were very excited to see a new Gaza tech incubator that was coming out. And this is, Tech for Palestine's incubator is advocacy. This is more of your traditional tech incubator, which is helping Gazans create startups. Their first phase is aiming to support over 100 entrepreneurs and young innovators. And this is called the UCAS Tech Incubator, UCAS. Um, they're focusing on rebuilding infrastructure, but also creating opportunities and hope for Gaza's youth. And they're trying to kick off and restart Gaza's startup ecosystem, which, as many of you might know, got killed by Israelis. But sorry, by Israel's innovation, made it really difficult for people to continue when you have to deal with getting food for your family as a primary daily activity. There are we've been involved with some similar efforts that aren't so much focused on innovation, but are focused on sort of jobs and skills. So there's a lot of these going on too that we know are Hope Hub and TCAT that are focused more on supporting skills building and jobs building for folks in Gaza. And so we're excited to see this new initiative that is focusing on creating new startups and new jobs within Gaza itself. And that is it from me.
Great, Paul. There's a couple of questions in the chat. If I can ask you to review them quickly. And super exciting just to see, I mean, how this movement continues to grow and expand through collaboration and partnership with activists, supporters, tech professionals, legal professionals. Really exciting to see all the ways this is taking shape.
For sure. Happy to answer some of these questions. So, first question I see: any news on the next in-person event? So we're having a discussion about that at the moment. We put on 4 events in quick succession since November, and so we're having a look through what people liked, what worked, what didn't work. We are definitely going to redo our San Francisco event that we did in February last year. We'll probably do it, or sorry, February this year. We'll probably do it again in February next year. But we're having discussions about, are we creating certain, meetups or 1-day events or 2-day events. The conversation is still happening. If you have any thoughts, please feel free to share them. Folks, if you attended any of our in-person events, please feel free to share them or to share your feedback in our Discord or in our Mattermost. I would imagine that we'll be announcing our next in-person conference probably within the next. We'll make the announcements of what that will be within the next month or so. Another question here. Founder and most of the program hosts seem to be British. What is their connection to Palestine? Where do we get more information on the funding and monetization of this organization? Oh, that is an excellent question. So firstly, not British, I'm Irish. That is the connection. So a lot of our folks are Tech for Palestine is largely working in the tech industry outside Gaza, right? So, or outside Palestine. So we are not a Palestine-led organization within Palestine. We are people from around the world who came together after the invasion or the most recent invasion into Gaza by Israel, and in 2023. And so we are largely made up of tech professionals. A lot of folks have Palestinian backgrounds, like Asa here, or diaspora and roots. A lot of our folks don't have any. So, like myself, I've never been to Palestine personally. Um, and so we are coming from it from a an angle of human rights, and in particularly looking at the tech industry's complicity in the genocide and the occupation and the apartheid, and trying to push back um, against that. Question on funding monetization. So that is something that we're not terribly public about that. One of the reasons for that is that Palestine organizations often get attacked. But I will say that it largely comes from a range of wealthy individuals who are interested in human rights. And we are a 501c3 charity, so we publish our that has a very high level of reporting burden, and it is quite transparent, and we will be publishing that in due course as we are required to by US law.
Great questions. Was that
Yeah, there's one other question about how can an initiative that is intended to support fellow scientists, how do we share that within Tech for Palestine? So we largely don't share initiatives like this um, on our socials. But these are things where people can share them within our Discord. Um, and people can, where they are related to it. Um, to the tech industry, we are often more directly going to be sharing these things, but things that are a little outside tech industry aren't things that we typically share. So apologies for that.
great? Thank you so much, Paul. All right. Up next, we have Afzal, who will share some community updates.
Yes, thanks for the intro, Azza. Super happy to be here again. I skipped last month the community call, so today I have a lot to tell. But first, I want to react on one of the questions that I just saw. I'm also not British. I'm Dutch. I live in the Netherlands, and my connection to Palestine is that I live in The Hague, very close to the International Criminal Court and prisons for war criminals. So my connection is that one day, inshallah, when they will bring Netanyahu there, I will have a front seat. So that's my connection to Palestine. And as I said, I have a lot to tell today, but Mar just wrote that we need to accelerate a bit. So I want to start with Memories from Palestine, a project that we launched a couple of weeks ago, project from T4P's incubator. It's a very special project. In this case, I mean, you're used to a lot of tech alternatives like Upscroll, Thara, but in this case, it's a project for people from Palestine, but also people outside, like non-Palestinians. But the reason why I'm mentioning the people from Palestine is because a lot of Palestinians, they live all over the world, and they have never seen their homeland. And through memoriesfrompalestine.com, they're able to see their homeland, their villages. They can have a 360 degrees tour of Masjid al-Aqsa. So that's the project that we launched a couple of weeks ago. And I think on the picture you can see Greta Thunberg, who visited our event in Brussels, and she was doing the 360 degrees tour of different villages in Palestine. So it's a very special project. We sometimes call it the digital right of return for people who are Palestinian, but they've never seen their village or their homeland. This way they can still
All right, it looks like we lost Afzal. I was making sure it wasn't me. So let us see if we can get him back quickly. Give us just a second here. Let's see if we can get him to reconnect. Yeah, and this Memories of Palestine. I am one of those, unfortunately, Palestinians that have never got to see Palestine or our homeland, and so I'm really excited for this tour and to check out this platform. While we try to get Afzal back, why don't we pass this to Zahid? I know he was going to give us some updates, so let's see if we can get Zahid on while we work on Afzal. There we go. Hey, Zahid.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here and speak to everyone. I just wanted to share our recent trip. There was People's Tech for Good conference that was held in Geneva, and it was hosted by the UN recently. And there was a counter summit called the People's AI Summit, and that was organized with No Tech for Apartheid, the BDS movement, Tribex, and Breakfree. And so this came about through actually the connections that we've had through some of our events that Paul mentioned previously in Barcelona, Vikram from No Tech for Apartheid, Chris Smalls from the Amazon Labour Union, and Grania from Tribex. They were all there at our Barcelona event. So that kind of, again, those kind of connections are coming through our events and through our activities and partnerships with different organizations as well. So what we talked about was the kind of core conflict and contradiction with the conference and the UN framing these companies as AI for good and pretending that they're benevolent actors. So we kind of talked about the different companies and what they actually do and how they're complicit in the genocide. Microsoft, Amazon, Google, IBM, Intel, HP, Oracle, Cisco, they were all getting platformed by the UN. And the UN's kind of going against the UN's own mandate that companies maintain human rights, due diligence, and they do their best to kind of identify, mitigate, and prevent adverse human impact. So this is really kind of against their own principles. So what we did was we called an end to these partnerships and these platforming and highlighting the urgent need for ethical alternatives outside big tech, which is some of the projects that we are incubating and building at T4P. There was also a disruption event that took place at the AI for Good conference. Activists confronted Amazon CTO Werner Vogels, in German and in English, calling out this this complicity, and it was a very uncomfortable experience for them, and it's well worth a watch of that Instagram reel. Yeah, that's me, my small update from my recent trip. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Zahid. Let's keep making them uncomfortable and calling them out. Afzal, welcome back.
Yeah, I'm very sorry for that. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Great.
So tell me where you'd like me to go.
Did we discuss the slides before this one?
No, I think this is where we left off.
Okay, great. So this is one of my favorite projects because it was the first launch campaign that I did when I joined T4P last year. And if it's the first time that you hear about The Wall, it's a website, it's a plugin for your browser, or it started as a plugin for your browser that alerts you when you visit the website that is tied to Israel. And in some cases, it also shows alternatives. A couple of months ago, they also released an app. This app can be installed on Android. And what this app does is that it scans your phone to find out which other apps you have installed on your phone. and then it will tell you which apps are on the boycott list. So, for example, Disney Plus, of course, or Instagram, because it's part of Meta and they're shadow banning pro-Palestinian content. So it will basically tell you that, hey, these apps are apps that you want to avoid, and here are alternatives. The problem is that Google is blocking the new releases of the Wall app. They are claiming that this functionality to scan the phone for all other apps, that it's only allowed to use when it's part of the core functionality of the app. But basically, this app of the Wall, it has no purpose if it cannot scan your phone for other apps. So we all know that Google has a friend which is paying them.
Oh no, do we lose Upset again? All right. I wonder if Paul or Tom can jump in here. Looks like Upset's having some network issues, unfortunately.
Sure, happy to hop in. So as Afzal was saying, Google has blocked the Wall app. They are citing some absolutely ridiculous claims about the app, and they're violating their own policies. And obviously, this is something that Google does and has been known to do for some time, violating their own policies whenever whenever they're trying to get um, something that is anti or that criticizes Israel out of their their platform.
And Paul, I'm going to keep you here for just a second. I'm going to get to, so real quick, we have our Brussels video conference is up and ready. So please do check that out. And this fabulous interview with Greta is posted. So check that out. Paul, I'm going to have you cover these next couple of slides, if that's all right.
For sure. So News Cord recently raised £250,000. News Cord is originally News Cord was an app that allowed you to analyze news content for bias, and what it has become recently is over the last year, I suppose, is it has been focused on helping people make complaints about those bias when it happens. So whenever media has some particular bias in it, you are able to make complaints via News Cord to the usually the media's that particular media's regulatory watchdog, and to be able to highlight what is wrong with this, why it is bad. And so News Cord is leaning into that technology, and they've created a company to support that, and they have gotten an investment into that. So that's really exciting.
Ahora.
Yeah, so Thara has reached 100K downloads. So we were talking earlier about the reach of all the platforms in T4P. Thara is it's not quite at where Upscroll is, but it is growing very, very quickly. The Thara doesn't do like most of the things in our ecosystem. They haven't done ads. They haven't taken on funding. There's no budget for this growth. The reason why it is growing so much is that people like what Thara does, and they value these ethical platforms that give you the same capabilities as big tech, but they do it without the in the case of Thara, without the surveillance, without the stealing your all of your queries to train their models, without spying on you at all. very privacy focused, ethically focused, and in the case of AI, that includes the environment. They are significantly lower power usage than for example ChatGPT.
Excellent. Yeah, it's so incredibly awesome to see these projects kind of reach these new milestones and scale. So congrats to all the project leaders. So with that, I'm sorry, Afzal, I know you were having issues, but I do want to be sensitive to the time. We still have Tom Hall and Pablo, and I want to make sure we get to some of the new incubator projects that we'd like to share with you. So with that, I will have Tom come up and talk about the incubator, some of the new projects we have, and then we'll have Pablo as well. All right, Tom, all yours.
Great, thank you, Elsa. Are you able to hear me? Okay,
Yes.
Perfect. So thanks, everybody. I'm going to be super quick since we have only 20 minutes left. The incubator used to be the core function of Tech for Palestine. It basically still is, but we're kind of, as you have heard, expanding into a lot of different areas. But the incubator advocacy projects that want strategic advice, mentorship, marketing help, social media, volunteering, connections to the broader ecosystem, some small funding, grants, community education, all those kind of resources we can provide for anybody who's trying to build and scale an advocacy project. Lots more information on our website if you go there. So the newest projects that have joined the incubator, we have 4 joined in the last month. That's What's the Story, which is a global online language school bringing together paying students and scholarship students from Palestine in small, high-quality classes. They offer general English, exam prep, and plans for creative writing and journalism courses. And they use education to amplify authentic Palestinian voices while providing meaningful, purpose-driven learning. And so the idea of mixing paying students and scholarship students is, of course, the paying students are essentially funding the scholarship students. So really neat initiative to provide education to people who aren't able to get it elsewhere. The second project is BIDRA, BIDHRA. It's a Palestine-focused initiative centered on long-term economic empowerment, and it shifts the focus from short-term aid to sustainable economic development. More details on the website. Then we have the Palestinian Roots Initiative, an online platform for creating and managing dynamic family trees for Palestinian families. It aims to reconnect Palestinians across Palestine and the diaspora. It merges individual family trees into one comprehensive multilingual Palestinian family tree. And of course, gets you off of Ancestry.com, which is a very Zionist-leaning organization. Ethishop is the last one, ETHISHOP, which is a values-based search and shopping app that helps users find and buy products based on ethical values such as BDS safe, fair labor practices, sustainability, etc. And they prioritize ethics over paid product placements. So that was very fast, as I said, because we're running out of time. But with that, I'm going to transition to Pablo, who runs Ethically, which is one of the projects in our incubator, and he's going to tell us about what Ethically does. So on to you, Pablo. Thank you.
Hey, everyone. My name is Pablo, and I am the founder of Ethically. And Ethically joined Tech for Palestine back in middle of February. So we've been part of the incubator for around 5 months. And while I do like the label founder, I think Chief Connector better describes the value that Ethically provides and my actual job of what I do at Ethically. And in a nutshell, we connect people that have a message, a product, a service to the audience Wait, one slide back, Azza. Not yet. And then, yeah, so yeah, in a nutshell, I'm a data scientist and economist by profession and by education. And at the moment, there is no co-founder, and I got, honestly, a little bit of inspiration by Isam from Upscrolled. When I was at the Tech for Palestine Barcelona conference, during one of his speeches, he was speaking about building Upscrolled himself because he saw such a massive gap in the ecosystem. And I'm looking for my co-founder now. So if you're driven, ambitious, and familiar with ad tech, feel free to send me a message. And if you just want to chat or have a comment, send me a message at pablo@ethically.ch. So a little bit more detail about what Ethically is. It is a privacy-first ad network built on one primary premise, and that advertising doesn't have to spy on people for it to work. There's no profiling, no cross-site tracking, and no real-time bidding, and of course, no data brokers. So instead of taking all the evils that are in big ad tech that not many people are aware of, because I'm sure people browse on all types of pages. They don't know what exactly they're accepting cookies for, which pixels that they're on. And we serve contextual ads instead, which pretty much means that we show ads based on the page and not based on who's reading it. In our next step, going after this contextual model, which is publisher first, we want to do vector proximity, which is a fancy word for putting numbers, turning letters and words into numbers, so that we can start targeting based.
Sorry to interrupt. Are others having audio issues with Pablo, or is it just me? Just want to make sure. Okay. Then we'll keep going, Pablo. Sorry. Your audio is choppy on my end, so I'm going to
No worries, no worries. So what are the main goals of Ethically? I think first and foremost, it's redirecting ad spend to support independent apps and media. I'm not sure if any of you guys have spoken to journalists, but they are often at the mercy of big ad tech. They get to decide how much money they get paid, and also they get to decide who shows up most of the time. Publishers have no autonomy, and we change that for them. And yeah, this is a two-sided marketplace. Funneling to the very independents that contribute to a free Palestine, like journalists, is important, but so is the other side of the coin. And that is the advertisers that pay for this ad spend. And we need to turn this into a sustainable business model. So one of our goals is beating Google ad displays click-through rate, which is a metric often associated with successful ads. And they sit around just below 0.5%, and we want to beat that. So that's one of our goals. And then thirdly, and also very importantly, is stopping the leakage of the pro-Palestinian economy, which I'll speak about more in depth later. What is the challenge that Ethically solves? Ethically lets businesses reach the right audiences online without spying on anyone, and independent media instead of big tech. These are ads that respect your privacy as a reader. And so anytime you see an Ethically ad, you know that you've been targeted based on the page that you're reading right now, and not based on the location that you've been, sites that you've previously on, and a shadow profile that has been constructed of you throughout your history on the internet. So I spoke previously about the leakage of the pro-Palestinian economy, and this is the way I see it. as an economist, I see the way I picture it is two circles. You've got pro-Palestinian businesses on the left and pro-Palestinian consumers on the right. And right now, these two barely meet. And they barely meet for a number of reasons. One of them is algorithmic suppression. I mean, everyone knows about the shadow banning. And this kind of works in the same way in the ad space, is that as soon as you're Palestinian adjacent, you get labeled as, sensitive political subjects. So your ads get suppressed. And if they're willing to shadow ban your organic content, your free content, you can imagine that they do it the same with your paid. And the infrastructure is just not there yet. Publishers that write about Palestine, they are the first ones to get demonetized. And even if they were to get monetized, they get, the bottom of the barrel type of ads, these type of junk ads that you see of them asking to fill out a survey and trying to guess your star sign, for example. And these are the cheap ads. And really, these are premium spaces where they should be able to provide premium prices, charge. Yeah, and so how do these two meet right now? It's word of mouth, alternative finder lists, like, when you're scanning with Boycott, you get to see the alternatives, and also networks like Tech for Palestine, you get to see the alternatives. But unfortunately, there's still more to be done. And this is where ethically comes in. And yeah, so the way these two circles combine is that they spend money on Zionist ad platforms like Meta and Google Ads. And it's quite counterintuitive because to reach a pro-Palestinian consumer, they're spending money through a Zionist platform. And this is exactly what we're trying to replace. And ethically brings these two circles together while also supporting the very independent media that contributes to a free Palestine. Okay, we can carry on to the demo. So ethically works like many of the big ad tech platforms, is that you get to run live campaign, you get to see your impressions, you get all the bells and whistles and all the features that these big ad tech platforms provide. And you can create a campaign super easily. You just need an idea of where you want to target and your ad asset, and we can help you create your ad asset as well. You choose which publisher you want to publish on. You upload your ad asset, and then you get to see a preview of how your ad would look like. This would be on the Tabs for Palestine publisher, which is another idea that I co-founded with Lena Boudart. And yeah, after you've chosen your ad asset, you put the budget, set their own rates, and there's no real-time auctions. So you see what you pay, you submit your campaign, and publishers are given the autonomy to choose exactly which campaigns are shown or not shown. Because unethically, while we do run a vetting process, publishers also want to keep their editorial standards. I want to make sure that not only the product aligns, but also the visuals. So that brings me to my ask and my links, I believe. Yeah, so if you have a message, product, or service for an ethical consumer, you can advertise with us now on ethically.ch. And if you found this project interested and you are ambitious and would like to help or co-found this and make this grow with me, please send me an email. And if there's anyone out there that has a warm introduction to a publisher or a platform that gets a lot of views or impressions and that would like to monetize their viewership, please introduce me. And it's been a pleasure explaining ethically and what we've been doing. And so my special mentions are the Tech for Palestine incubator, of course. If it wasn't for them, ethically wouldn't be where it is today. And special thank you to Ehab and Paul for their advice. And then to Salman and Mesa as well for their early user feedback and their confidence in me.
Yeah, this is awesome. Very exciting, Pablo. Thank you for joining us. Sorry for the technical challenges we had and squeezing you. If you're interested, you want to learn more, please don't hesitate to reach out to Pablo. He's doing some awesome work, and it's a great opportunity to get in on it at this stage. So we wish you all the best, Pablo. And hang around. We'll have some time for questions at the end. So I'll go through some volunteering updates just quickly. There are lots of ways you can get involved. You could support project leaders like Pablo. You can get in, join us as a member. If you have time and you want to do hands-on work, you want to network with other professionals in the network. If you're limited on time, Mighty Missions is a great option and a way where you can get in and take small, meaningful actions based on your time and availability. There are some specific roles that we have, and we will post these on our website. So check out our website frequently if you're looking to get involved, or if you're a member. We have open roles posted in the member hub. Always looking for social media specialists, content writers, grant writers, fundraising experts is becoming something that's more and more in demand. As we continue to grow our online presence and events and communities, we need event operations specialists, community call producers. So that's another exciting way for you to get involved and be part of the movement. You can also join the cause. We talked about checking out our open positions. You can donate. That's another way to help accelerate the good work that we're doing. Join our Discord, be part of the discussion, follow us on social media. So lots of ways to get involved. With that, I want to just, I'm going to leave the survey up here for now. We'd love to hear your feedback. And I think there are a couple of questions we want to get back to. So if we can, let me see here. Let's bring back Paul. There was a question I saw. Now I'm losing it, Paul. Do you?
Yeah, no, I remember the one here. Yeah. So the question was, do any of the operational cost profits from membership or in general go towards verified proceeds like UNRWA, Doctors Without Borders, or any other charity orgs working on the ground in Palestine? So no, that is not what we do. Tech for Palestine is not a humanitarian organization like UNRWA. Tech for Palestine is an advocacy organization. So the money that we raise goes towards advocacy. So what we mean by advocacy is advocating within the tech industry, creating tools that allow other people to advocate, supporting the movement for Palestine, and educating people largely in the West, largely in the US and Europe, about Palestine and the occupation and apartheid. So all the money goes towards that and that work that we do.
Great. I believe there was a question about DOTA and is it API?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So does Thara integrate with other tools? Thara has an API page, and I believe that Thara can be used in agentic coding like OpenCode, for example. And to use it with other existing tools, my understanding is that Thara has a ChatGPT compatible API, so you can use it with other coding tools as long as they have a ChatGPT compatible API, and you're able to change the AI agents that they use.
Great, thank you. I think that's all the questions we had. If I missed anything, please let me know. And if we did, we'll make sure we get back to you. Thank you all again for joining our call. Thank you, Pablo, for your time and doing great work. We appreciate all of you guys. You're the best. Let's continue to grow this movement and support all the incredible project leaders and team members doing really, really important work. We'll see you guys next time, August 12th, for the next community call. please fill out the survey. It'll definitely help us. I'll leave it here. All right. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.